Welcome! Now before we dive into this, I just want to remind you all that I'll be doing a live reaction video for the Seattle expansion draft that'll be happening on Wednesday, July 21st, so stay tuned for that. Not to mention the NHL draft that will happen days later on Friday, July 23rd and Saturday, July 24th. Please join us. We always have a lot of fun. Saturday especially, it's like an 8-hour long day. It's crazy. Now, moving on. Let's get into the news here. Starting with the Dallas Stars. They just signed their star defenseman, the 21-year-old Miro Heiskanen, to an 8-year, $8.45 million deal. This is great for both parties, really. What's more to talk about? The guy's probably going to be a budding Norris Trophy candidate in the future. Remember last year's playoffs? He was terrific. Moving on with more Dallas news. They traded Jason Dickinson to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for a 2021 third-round pick. Now, Jason Dickinson is a third liner. He's a center. He's 26 years old, 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a shutdown forward who can also play the PK really well. The issue here is that he's an RFA and he's arbitration eligible. So hopefully Benning doesn't back up the Brinks truck to his house because he just came off a $1.5 million per cap hit with the Stars. Now, San Jose Sharks. They, in a trade with the Arizona Coyotes, they get Adin Hill, the goaltender there, along with a 2022 7th-round pick. The Coyotes get 23-year-old goalie José Coronar, who's only played 10 NHL games with an .899 save percentage and a second-round pick in 2022. Now, Adin Hill, I want to get back to him for a second, is a hulking young goalie. He's 25, 6'6", 202 pounds. And he's done really well for the Coyotes the past few years with limited exposure anyways. He is going to be an RFA and arbitration eligible though. So Wilson's going to have to sign him. But in 19 games last season, he had a .913 save percentage. Season before that, in 13 games, .918. And he also played 13 games the season before that as well, the .901. The kid, I think, is ready to blossom, so they could have a really good find, a really good gem here. I would assume that he'll be splitting time with Martin Jones in net, because as we all know, Martin Jones has been sliding the past few seasons. I know he had some good games this past year, but I don't know. Very curious to see how that turns out for them. Moving on, let's talk about another Arizona trade in which they get Andrew Ladd from the New York Islanders, along with a 2021 and 2022 second-round pick, because they're desperate for picks, as we all know. And the Islanders get cap space. Because, as we all know, Ladd was a bit of an anchor the past 2 or 3 seasons. He's got a $5.5 million cap hit for the next 2. However, if he's buried in the minors, it looks like he'll only be making $4 million. I'm not sure if the bonus was already paid out to him. Knowing the Coyotes, maybe it already has. So that's a good deal for both teams. We'll see what the Islanders do with that newfound space. Next up, the Montreal Canadiens. Carey Price is willing to waive his no-move clause so that the Canadiens can protect Jake Allen. And I guess the reasoning behind this is because Price is 33 and he's got 5 more years at a $10.5 million cap hit. Not to mention, according to Chris Johnson of Sportsnet, he's going to be owed $11 million in signing bonuses in September. And from what we've been gathering from GM Ron Francis of the Kraken so far is that he's going to be looking at a long-term build here, not a short-term be good right away like the Vegas Golden Knights. So if he did grab Price, it would seem that would be a bit contradictory to that, wouldn't it? Although, it'd be tempting. I gotta tell you. Maybe he just grabs him anyways. By the way, Price has a no-move clause, which will carry on if he gets picked by the Kraken. So he'd have to approve of any trade if Seattle wanted to send him anywhere after that. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about that soon. The Rangers trade for the rights of Barclay Goodrow from the Tampa Bay Lightning for a 7th-round pick in 2022. We'll see how much they sign him for. The Vegas Golden Knights acquire Brett Howden from the Rangers in exchange for right shot defenseman AHLer DeSimone, who's 26 years old, and they also get a 4th-round pick in 2022. Brett Howden is like another third-line center. They've got a lot of those now, right? More on that a little later. But in 42 games, Howden had 1 goal, 7 points, and was a -2. So, yeah, in 3 playoff games the season before last, he had no points and was a -3. Moving on. The St. Louis Blues will not protect Tarasenko in the expansion draft. He's got 2 more years left on his deal at $7.5 million. That'd be risky for the Kraken, wouldn't it? I mean, he did play 24 games this season after coming back from double shoulder surgery. He had 4 goals, 14 points, and was a -7 in 4 games in the playoffs. He did have 2 goals, 2 points, but he was also a -8. Yeah. Moving forward, maybe one of the biggest trades of the day, if not the biggest, a 3-way swap between the Knights, the Predators, and the Flyers. The Knights acquired Nolan Patrick. This is risky for them. Again, another third-line center. Wait till you hear what they gave up for him. Now, in 52 games, he had 4 goals, 9 points. It was a -30. I mean, the entire Flyers team weren't good this year, but wow. Of course, he didn't play the season before that because of migraines for the entire year. We'll see where he's slotted in Vegas. Now, the Nashville Predators get Cody Glass from the Vegas Golden Knights. He was drafted in the same year. Patrick was number 2 overall. Glass was 6th overall. Glass is 6'2". He's got 1 more year left on his deal at $863,000, by the way. Nolan Patrick is in need of a new contract, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Yep, he'll need to be re-signed. But back to Cody Glass. In 27 games this past season, 4 goals, 10 points, +6. In 1 playoff game, he was a -1. He's played 66 games overall in the NHL with 22 points and a -1. He doesn't really have any injury history here that I can remember, though. I don't know. I think this is a risky move by Vegas, giving up on this guy early. The Predators also get Philip Myers from Philadelphia, a right shot defenseman, 6'5", 210 pounds. He's 24 years old. He's got 2 more years left on his contract at just over $2.5 million. In 44 games this past season, he had 1 goal, 11 points, and was a -10. And the Flyers in this went out big because they score Ryan Ellis, the right shot defenseman. Now he's 30 and he's being paid $6.25 million a season, and he's got 6 more years left on that deal till he's 36. Not awful. I mean, he skates really well, transports the puck. He's good on special teams. I think this is great for Philly. Last year in 35 games, he had 5 goals, 18 points, was a +1. In 6 playoff games, he had 1 goal, 5 points, and was a -1. So good deal for them. Next, the Seattle Kraken. Now this came out before the Carey Price news, but it looks like a foregone conclusion that they'll be signing Chris Driedger, former Florida Panthers goalie, to a deal. If the Kraken take Price, though, does that change their mind about signing Driedger? I don't know. Unless they can get him for, $3 million or less. I mean, Price is making 10.5, so. Next, the Toronto Maple Leafs have signed a prospect goalie in Joseph Woll, who's now 23, to a 1-year extension. In 47 games last season, he had an .884 save percentage. It's a 2-way deal they're giving him for $750,000. He'll probably be the starter for the Marlies. Again, we'll see if he can rebound. Then there's the Columbus Blue Jackets, who said they will not protect Max Domi. Now, Domi never really fit in Columbus. He didn't gel well with Tortorella. In 54 games, he had 9 goals, 24 points, and was a -18. Now, we all know that Tortorella's not going to be there anymore, but the new coach, Larson, has a similar system, I imagine. I mean, he did score 72 points a few seasons ago with Montreal. Can he get anywhere near that? I mean, he had 44 points last season. The season before last, excuse me. So maybe he'll be the Kraken's first-line center if they decide to grab him. Now, he's got one more year left on his deal at $5.3 million, and then he'll be a UFA. Next, back to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They hired a new assistant coach in Spencer Carberg, a coach of the Hershey Bears the last 3 seasons, in which he's had a terrific record. He's only 39 years old. But Sheldon Keefe, the coach of the Leafs, has said that he's thrilled to have him on the bench with Malhotra and the other new hire, Shinwith, if I'm saying that properly. So that's the 4 coaches on the bench. So what's Carberg going to be doing? Is he going to be splitting the forward group in the power play with Malhotra somehow? I'll do a video later on in the offseason diving deep into those 2 new assistant coaches. And then you're asking, what about the Jared McCann trade? What's up with that? Well, I did a separate video already on that one. I'll put up a link to that towards the end of this one. You can click on that or just find it on my playlist just as easily. That's it. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, which will alert you when my next video comes out. And remember, please be kind to each other in this crazy world we're living in, and I'll see you soon.